Welcome to Fanatics of Film. This is Blasterpiece Theater. My name is Ben, and I got my cohorts with me.
Hey everybody, it's Neil. Welcome back to the show. Glad to start off a new edition here and try something new.
We got an exciting one for you tonight. My name is Alex. We're here as always. Thank you so much for joining us. Ben, take us through the itinerary for tonight.
We're going over my favorite Star Wars movie today. This was something that we had discussed in our last video, our ranking. A lot of people have been saying this on Facebook, and that book that opens and slams on your face. People have been talking about this, saying that they like it. They actually think Attack of the Clones is a better movie than The Last Jedi. I actually agree with them. Whereas my two cohorts, they disagree with me. So this is gonna be a fun little moment of just trying to figure stuff out and trying to figure which ones we like better. Initially, I had to compare. You cannot compare the technology. You have to throw that stuff out the window. You have to throw the CGI out the window. All that stuff because it's 15 years apart.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. And basically that was the top notch as far as CGI. And this is gonna be difficult. I mean, this is something where
it is.
We did our little worst to best list, and it just kind of became apparent that we really need to have some fun with the two of the most virally worst Star Wars movies, and to see what we could do to actually compare them in a feasible way. But it's really freaking hard because they are, as Ben said, completely different time frames. The CG work and the animation and just the way the approach of directing is completely different. And just doing an apples to apples is really difficult, but I think that's going to be the fun part about this. Because it's not that at all.
And again, this is the virally worst. So if either of these are your favorite, I'm sorry.
Oops.
It was on the Attack of the Clones was at the bottom of my list. Last Jedi was, I think, 2 movies above it. I mean, I watched it again. I may have been a little inebriated, but I watched it again. I think it still deserves its spot at the bottom.
I would agree with you on that one, Alex. I gotta say, man, when I think, and don't quote me on this because it's already been quoted on YouTube, but I'm fairly sure Attack of the Clones was the last on my list, and Last Jedi was up there. It was above Menace. It was above a couple other things, and that's mainly because I have issues with the prequels anyway. But watching this one again, it was at the time my favorite of the prequels. Strangely enough, because everybody loves Revenge of the Sith, and I just thought, what a pile of stinky, overinflated
Banta poodle.
Banta poodle.
Wait, so you're saying Revenge of the Sith is this pile, or are you saying this? Are you saying AOTC?
At the time, I kind of thought that, and then after a few viewings and stuff like that, Attack of the Clones definitely kind of wore itself down the list until it now rests in the garbage heap where it should be.
I love how you're describing it like it's in a graveyard. It's like when I die, I'm gonna have a headstone of Attack of the Clones, but it's gonna look like a giant VHS tape. It'll be my headstone, and
that is a beautiful.
It's gonna look like Attack of the Clones.
The best thing idea I've ever known.
So honestly, thanks for sticking with us, you guys. I really appreciate it. So once again, one of the things that people that I talk to in depth about this with, who are OT, diehard fans, saying that these ships and everything, they don't line up with the Star Wars universe. They don't feel like they're in the same thing. They don't even feel like they're in the same ballpark, whatever. But you have to look back and kind of see what George Lucas was trying to do from the very beginning. I mean, before any of this happened, he wanted to do Flash Gordon. So I mean he wanted to remake Flash. I mean, imagine it would have been really interesting to see if he did Flash Gordon like a 3 or 5 movie Flash, or even just a one-off. Would have been cool to see that. But that's the point. If you look at these ships, they're like that. And anyway, it's science fiction, so whatever that's worth. But this, I actually do love this whole entry into Coruscant. I am a huge fan of the design of Coruscant. I love that Timothy Zahn created Coruscant, and Lucas adopted it.
Wait, people don't like the Naboo fighters?
I think
Naboo
like a lot
fighters?
of just serious diehard X-wing fanatics, like
The X-wing is cool, but the Naboo fighter's pretty sweet too.
I know, but
I can do barrel rolls, or what does he say? What spinning? That's a cool trick.
That's a nice
Yeah, and you couldn't do
trick.
that with an X-wing because they don't spin or roll or do anything like that. But no, I don't think it's that might just be nitpicking it from Uber fans or something like that. I can see there's a very polished nature about the prequels that I have a little issue with too. But I don't necessarily dislike the designs. I think they're actually pretty cool. And Coruscant, this entry point into Episode 2 was actually pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome stuff. I mean, you just have to think. I mean, if you think of it the way George Lucas, I mean, just think of the way George Lucas looked at everything. When you think of episodes 1 through 6, the scope of the way he saw Star Wars was humongous. He did everything that he could possibly with what he did. But if you look at the scope of everything, it's very broad, and he was able to achieve that here in these giant wide shots of a planet. I mean, he did not waste any space. I mean, even when you look at A New Hope, it's the same concept here. It's happening with A New Hope. You have Tatooine. The very first planet you see is Tatooine, and it's the same thing, huge. And so anyway, just I mean that's the difference that I see between Lucas Star Wars and Disney Star Wars. The scope of it is humongous. I actually had several conversations with my sister about this. She feels the same way. It's like you when we first saw Force Awakens, that was the first Disney one, and it's like it's very tunnel. It's very tunnel vision when you compare the scope that Lucas had. He had this very broad spectrum of the way he wanted everything to look. And that's what the prequels did. It opened the entire galaxy up. Because he was extremely limited, but of course the story was great in the original trilogy. But this opened the galaxy up to limitless possibilities.
Solid point. I kind of understand where you're coming from as far as what you're saying is you love Attack of the Clones in the sense that this is part of what George's vision was. Increased the worlds. It brought things into a more open playground for what was going on in the Star Wars universe. And in direct contrast with that, Jedi was very much pinholing.
The Last Jedi was?
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, good one.
Forgive me if I didn't make my point better. I know that. Once again, we're just getting warmed up. This is episode 1 of 20. I'm just kidding.
Well, and I guess so just to paraphrase or summarize my particular point moving into it, I think the reason Attack of the Clones is kind of at the bottom of the barrel for me is just a lot of the pacing, the love story, the slowness of this whole thing, and just kind of the I don't know, some of the action feels really displaced. The thing that I think where Last Jedi kind of keeps it up, the story is kind of meh, but the pacing is good. The visuals are good. The action is good. When things do happen, they kind of flow in a particular sequence, even though I may not like what actually happened in those sequences. I think it was just a better overall flow of a movie. So we'll get into more details, but
I'm completely with Neil. That's what does it for Attack of the Clones. It's like the pacing. It's like kind of like it's good at first, like the beginning of the movie, like you're into it. The speeder chase, or not the speeder chase, the car chase, like following the bounty hunter. What is his name? Zam. Her name Zam, the changeling. Like that beginning, you had it in, but then it kind of tapers off into this weird, awkward love story. Whereas in Last Jedi, you're totally right. Like the pacing's good. The story, we may not like what's happening with the story, but the story's good. Like it's leading up the climactic moment with Holdo ramming the ship where there's multiple things happening at once. Like the storytelling was just good. It was good. It was better.
Wow, I can't disagree with either of you more. I just have to say, so it's like when you and I know that a lot of you people out there, a lot of you wonderful people out there who agree with me, in that it's in Attack of the Clones, yes, there's wooden acting. Yes, there's moments where it's like, there's spots where here it's like, I'm just reading my lines, blah, 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 blah. And there's a lot of that happening. However, if you read the scope of everything, what's happening there, the only thing that tapers off, or I'm not.
I know what you're saying.
It's more of a distraction, I guess.
Yeah.
The love story is kind of a weird distraction because. Of course, better written, better acted, etc. You get definitely a much better situation. My 2 cents. I of course think Sam Witwer would have been a great idea to have him. He was at the perfect age at the time too. He's like they're the same age. He and Hayden Christensen are pretty much the same age, but he would have been perfect to just have in there. But I think that the love story is just a mere slight distraction from the overall awesome story that happens. When you're talking about action, you said specifically how the action sequences are displaced, whatever. I think actually that the Last Jedi is very organized, but still, when you actually said pacing, I actually think the pacing of Last Jedi is all over the place. The pacing of Attack of the Clones is actually very, very it builds up, because the reason why is because every single action point that you have is in my personal opinion, is extremely creative, but you also there is a reason for everything that happens. Everything that does happens for a very specific reason, and it takes them into one spot, it takes them to the next, takes them to the next, and it does. Each action sequence tells a story, and I can't even.
You got good points there.
Anyway.
I would agree with that.
But anyway.
Yeah. You're right. As far as the story building up into those particular moments, and maybe it's more my. I don't know, like when you see moments of action, or I guess Attack of the Clones just feels very cartoony to me, because maybe because they're all on a sound stage. So when something happens where it's just like, oh, this feels like an intense moment or something that should be building up, it doesn't play out that well, like on a sound stage kind of level. There's some definite parts of the movie that I can cue on, but that's kind of the feeling I get. It's just like some of the things are just so sauntered. They just kind of saunter about for some reason.
Wow, I don't know. I disagree entirely.
Oh, this is gonna be so much
fun. I see what he's saying by the action thing, but I think what does it is the cut back to the dialogue of Anakin and Padme, like the pair. Master Kenobi would be very upset if he saw me doing this. Next shot, he's all rubbing at Padme, your skin is so soft. And then the next shot, I hate the sand. Like, it's the back and forth. Like, it's kind of like hard, like, to place, like, what, am I with Kenobi? Like, what's going on? Like, at least The Last Jedi, like, it was Finn on Cantabite and they're running away, right? And then it goes back to Poe and they're running away. Like, the vibe stayed a little more the same compared to Attack of the Clones. It's like, whoa.
It did. However, there was no... Oh my gosh, I forgot what I was going to say. It did, but I feel like there was really... I don't know. This is what it boils really down to. I didn't care about any of the people, of the characters in The Last Jedi, and so as a result, that became a problem. But... I know. One funny thing that it was continuously happened in at least the first 3 or 4 scenes that you see of the romantic build that you see in Attack of the Clones is that basically just every romantic scene ends with Padme getting creeped out by Anakin.
but it's so like that she's wearing the exact appropriate outfit for. You ever notice that about
she's a
Padme's
different
outfit?
Yeah.
No, it's not even just different outfits. It's like each and every one of her outfits very much complements the environment and the scenery that's going on. Whatever she's in, she's like a walking chameleon with her stylist and her designer. And then. Conversely,
well, that's George Lucas, though. That's old school.
It's just
George
hilarious.
Lucas.
Like each scene, she is rolling around in the grass with Anakin. She's in a different one, and it complements the waterfalls. And then when they're in the late night, she's hanging out with an evening gown, and it's kind of dropped over her shoulders, and it's like, I don't really want to be leading this kid on or anything like that, but I look pretty damn hot right now, and
so is that
I am available?
So is that?
Many ways.
So is that one of the things that makes it difficult for you to grab onto, is because she's constantly changing? Because honestly, to me, I just accept all that because it's old school George Lucas thinking like, oh, she's a princess, so she's got to have a different, and it's just old school filmmaking like that. So it's like she's beautiful. Let her express that in a different outfit in every different scene. So I don't know. It's kind of old school.
I think it's great. I really do.
Yeah.
It just kind of cracked me up when I was actually rewatching. Just like, wow, she looks so fantastic in this particular environment, and I'm like, she matches quite well. I mean, her hair is kind of
Right.
folded in this nice like rocks, and the rest of her hair is kind of cascading down the back of her head just like a waterfall would be. And then in direct contrast, she's wearing that white outfit that they go to Geonosis,
the arena to...
Exactly, and she's like in complete contrast with everything else that's going on in that place. It's like everything's metal and dirty and dusty, and she's just in this beautifully white outfit.
But that's just
And I like
artistic.
it.
That's
No,
just
right.
artistic approach to the.
I'm
to
not
the scene.
saying I'm not dissing on that particular
Okay.
moment, and I'll take it back one step. The thing that I do after rewatching this like about Attack is that at least they have a love story. At least there is some sort of attraction and love going on between some of the characters.
More so
As terribly
than The
acted
Last
as it
Jedi. Reylo fans, sorry.
All right, damn it, Ben. Point taken.
So many people want Reylo to happen. I just hope so all of them get disappointed. I just hope it does not. And it's not going to happen. But anyway, it's just funny because there's supposed to be this huge romance happening. Okay, so are you feeling any romance with that? Let's talk about that. Real quick.
There's definitely I wouldn't say chemistry, but there's tension. I don't know if I would say it's romantic tension, but
people interpret it that way.
Man,
Well,
because of the
it should, 'cause-
shirtless scene, because of the thick, just don't you have a cowl or something?
And it's only natural that people. I mean, that is a big draw. That's an attraction when people are in distress and they go through distressful experiences together. That definitely becomes an attraction or a tension often there needs to be some sort of release there. That. So, yeah. But it's not like the love story or like the actual connections that you see from the prequels or from A New Hope and the originals. It's definitely a little.
I went by this and I saw him saying that was a cheap move. I thought he said it was a cheap movie. Anyway, so bear with us, everyone here. We're just having some fun with this. So hopefully you're having some fun too.